Why you have no drive left after spiritual awakening, Jung Explains. In the secluded hamlet of Ember Veil, where the air carried the scent of smoldering peat and the horizon glowed with the ember-like embers of a perpetual dusk, lived Soren, a 34-year-old healer whose hands had once mended broken spirits and bodies alike. His home, Hearthroot Haven, was a haven of warmth, its walls lined with shelves of dried herbs, jars of salves, and scrolls of ancient remedies, each a testament to his craft. Soren's eyes held a quiet intensity, his voice a soothing balm, but beneath his gentle demeanor lay a soul recently transformed by a spiritual awakening, a profound shift that had left him adrift, his once vibrant drive extinguished like a snuffed candle. Raised by a stoic father, a blacksmith who valued labor above all, and a mother who prayed for transcendence, Soren had been torn between earthly duty and spiritual yearning, a tension that now haunted him in the wake of his awakening. His days had once been a symphony of purpose. Soren rose before dawn, gathering herbs from the misty moors, his steps purposeful, his hands deft as he brewed potions to ease the village's ailments, fevers quelled, wounds stitched, hearts lifted with his words. Villagers sought him out, their gratitude a steady rhythm in his life, his drive fueled by the tangible impact of his work. But months ago, during a solitary vigil under a blood-red moon, Soren had experienced a vision, a flood of light, a voice whispering, "You are one with all," that shattered his old self. The awakening brought peace, a sense of unity with the cosmos, but it also drained his ambition. He no longer felt the urge to heal, to create, to engage, his herbs wilted untended, his salves gathered dust, and his visitors dwindled, sensing his withdrawal. Soren's shadow, his buried conflict between duty and transcendence, now loomed large, leaving him paralyzed, his inner fire reduced to ash. His nights were a labyrinth of introspection. Soren sat by the hearth, its embers mirroring his fading spirit, his mind replaying the vision, questioning its cost. He avoided the village square, where life pulsed with activity he could no longer join, his shadow whispering, "You've transcended need." He longed to reclaim his drive, to bridge the chasm between his awakened soul and his earthly purpose, but the path eluded him, his heart heavy with a void he couldn't name. One chilly evening, as the wind howled through the moors, a cloaked figure entered Hearthroot Haven, his staff crowned with a glowing crystal. He requested a remedy for a weary spirit, then left a weathered tome bound in cracked leather, its edges singed as if kissed by fire. Inside, a note read, "The drive returns through balance, Jung." Soren, who had once encountered Jung's writings in a traveler's satchel, felt a flicker of curiosity. He opened the tome, its pages filled with Jung's teachings on individuation, the integration of opposites, and the shadow's role in reclaiming lost vitality after spiritual awakening. The tome became his lantern. That night, Soren dreamed of a vast moor split by a chasm, one side ablaze with spiritual light, mandalas, stars, a radiant heart, the other barren, strewn with tools and herbs, a shadowy figure with his own weary eyes standing between them. "You've abandoned me," the figure rasped, its voice a gust of wind. Soren woke, trembling, and read Jung's words, "The shadow holds what you've forsaken." His shadow, he realized, was his suppressed earthly drive, sacrificed in his pursuit of transcendence, a legacy of his parents' opposing worlds. The tome outlined a path to balance, suggesting that the loss of drive post-awakening stemmed from rejecting the material self, and offered steps to reintegrate it. Soren began tentatively. First, he revisited his craft, mixing a salve with trembling hands, its scent of sage and lavender stirring a faint pulse of purpose. Jung's guidance on individuation urged him to honor both spirit and matter. Villagers noticed, their tentative visits reviving his sense of duty. Second, he meditated on his vision, seeking its message, dreaming of the figure offering a tool, his healer's pestle, saying, "Use me." He woke, crafting remedies with renewed focus, his drive flickering. Third, he faced his shadow, journaling his conflict, his father's labor, his mother's prayers, releasing guilt, his energy slowly returning. Fourth, he shared his journey, hosting a healing circle, his words weaving spiritual insight with practical care, the village responding with warmth. His dreams evolved. In the moor, the chasm narrowed, the figure merging with him, holding a balanced scale, light and tools in harmony. "You are whole," it said. Soren woke, embracing his anima, his inner feminine compassion, nurturing his patience, and his animus, his inner masculine action, rebuilding his practice. He channeled the archetype of the healer, mending bodies, and the warrior, defending his renewed drive. Hearthroot Haven buzzed again, herbs thriving, salves flowing, villagers gathering, Soren's meals now shared with friends. A young apprentice, Kael, whose apathy mirrored Soren's post-awakening state, sought his guidance, his hands steadying as Soren taught him balance. Shadows persisted. One stormy night, Soren dreamed of the moor flooding, the figure drowning, a voice roaring, "You've lost the light." He woke, doubting his path, his hands clutching the tome. He sought Elara, a weaver versed in Jungian thought, who said, "Integration spirals, face the fear again." In meditation, Soren asked, "What do you need?" "Faith in both," the figure replied, the more stabilizing as he accepted his dual nature. His resolve strengthened, and he expanded his circles, teaching Ember Veil to balance spirit and drive. Ember Veil transformed. Soren adorned Hearthroot with mandalas and tools, symbols of his journey, his haven a center of healing. His movement grew, with Kael and others thriving by integrating their awakenings, their presence shifting from stagnation to vitality. One dusk, a traveler, her cloak tattered, entered seeking solace, her eyes hollow with lost drive. Soren welcomed her, saying, "Your balance begins here," guiding her through the tome's wisdom, feeling Jung's truth. The loss of drive after awakening fades when spirit and matter unite, a lesson to awaken all souls. The fire-kissed tome remained on his shelf, its pages worn but radiant, a beacon for those seeking to reclaim their drive through Jung's timeless insight. As months unfolded, Soren's practice flourished, his salves now sought across neighboring hamlets, his reputation as a healer of body and spirit growing. Tavik, now a skilled apprentice, began experimenting with new remedies, blending Soren's traditional methods with insights from his own awakening, their collaboration a dance of old and new. The village square, once a place Soren avoided, became a gathering spot for his teachings, where he spoke of the moor's chasm and the balance it taught him, his voice carrying over the moors like a call to action. The community's transformation deepened. Kael, inspired by Soren's journey, initiated a youth healing program, teaching the next generation to tend both their inner light and outer duties, his circles filled with eager faces. Elara, the weaver, wove tapestries depicting the moor's evolution, chasm to harmony, selling them to fund community projects, her craft a bridge between art and purpose. Soren noticed a shift in the hamlet's rhythm, the perpetual dusk seemed to brighten, the embers glowing with a renewed vigor, as if Ember Veil itself mirrored his inner reconciliation. One autumn, as leaves fell like embers, a group of pilgrims arrived, their leader a woman named Lysa, her face etched with the weariness of a spiritual seeker who had lost her way. She spoke of a vision similar to Soren's, a light that left her adrift, her drive extinguished. Soren invited her into Hearthroot, sharing the tome's pages, guiding her through meditations that rekindled her purpose. Over weeks, Lysa's hands, once idle, began crafting herbal blends, her eyes regaining their spark. She met a quiet potter, Jorin, whose earthy strength complemented her ethereal nature, their bond a sign of her own balance, mirroring Soren's encounter with his shadow. The hamlet celebrated this union with a festival of light and labor, lanterns hung alongside tools, a testament to the integrated lives emerging from Soren's teachings. Children danced, their laughter weaving through the air, while elders shared stories of their own awakenings, each tale a thread in the fabric of Ember Veil's renewal. Soren and Tavik led a ceremony, lighting a central fire that symbolized the union of spirit and drive, its flames casting shadows that danced rather than threatened. Years rolled on, and Hearthroot Haven evolved into a sanctuary of learning, its walls adorned with mandalas, tools, and tapestries, a living museum of Soren's journey. He and Tavik, now partners in both life and work, trained a council of healers, each member tasked with spreading the balance they had found. Lysa and Jorin, now pillars of the community, opened a workshop where spiritual seekers and practical artisans collaborated, their creations, pottery infused with healing herbs, sold to sustain the hamlet's growth. One winter's night, as snow blanketed Ember Veil, a young man stumbled in, his cloak heavy with frost, his voice hoarse from silence. He carried a journal, its cover singed, seeking Soren's wisdom. The man, named Erynd, spoke of a recent awakening that left him listless, his hands unused to labor. Soren recognized the echo of his own past, guiding Erynd through the tome's lessons, watching as the young man's eyes brightened with each step, dreams of tools, symbols of balance, restlessness turning to action, and an encounter with a herbalist who became his mentor. Erynd's revival sparked another cycle, his energy reinvigorating the youth program Kael had started. Decades later, as Soren's hair grayed and his hands trembled with age, he sat by the hearth, Tavik beside him, the fire's glow reflecting their shared legacy. Whisperwood Cottage, now a sprawling haven, hummed with life, healers, storytellers, artisans. All united by the balance Soren had championed. The fire-kissed tome, passed to Erynd, remained a sacred relic, its pages worn but luminous, a beacon for those navigating the post-awakening void. Soren gazed at the moors, their embers glowing brighter than ever, feeling Jung's truth resonate. The loss of drive after spiritual awakening is a call to integrate the self, a journey that transforms not just one soul, but an entire world, a tale to ignite the drive in all who hear it. The end.